33% Intel's fault, 33% motherboard, and 33% user error. Except for the 4900KS. This is 100% Intel's fault. Okay, so Intel finally made a statement about the stability problems. Now, I feel like I've talked about this like 20 times already, and I think I have, but just not on YouTube or publicly, I suppose. So pretty much my community has had a fix for this 6 months ago. That's why this seems like such old news for us. And that's why nobody in the Discord even talks about this. It's not a topic of contention for us, right? Basically, if you're watching this on YouTube, you got to be in the Discord, man. We literally had a fix for this 6 months ago and nobody's had an issue, right? That's why it's a nothing burger for us. But for those of you that are watching this on YouTube, I'll show you how to fix it and what all the scoop is anyway, right? So basically, blame is 50-50. Intel and MOBO manufacturers, right? The reason why half the blame is on Intel is because they did the stupid boosting algorithms to compete with AMD in Cinebench and CPU-Z. That's number one. That's literally half. That's half the problem, right? Problem number one. Stock boost behavior on single core. So if you take a 14900KS, for example, the single core is 6.2 gigahertz or some nonsense. It's like 1.55 volts. It shoves into that one core to boost it up, right? And the reason why they do that is so that when tech journalists, reviewers review the CPU, it scores the highest over Ryzen. Ryzen does the same thing. They'll shove like 20 volts into that one core. So, and then they'll say designed to run at 95 Celsius. It's basically Intel and AMD are trying to compete with each other in the battleground of tech tuber stupidity. If that may, so what does a tech tuber do when they get a new CPU? They run Cinebench. Single core and multi-core spits out a score. So Intel and AMD engineers need to be like, how do we make that score higher? Not let's give the user a better product. It's like, how do we top the chart? Motherboard, that's key. How do we top the chart at all costs? Motherboard manufacturers do the same shit, right? And here's the other 50% of the problem. Remove all limits, thermal and power. That's what motherboard manufacturers do. Some motherboards will do like they'll do like 100.7 BCLK out of the box and shit, right? Just to make it so their motherboard is at the top for 0.7, right? They do all kinds of crazy shit, right? Asus, if you enable XMP on an Asus Maximus motherboard, it'll tighten all the timings automatically on the sticks that you have in order to make that motherboard perform higher. Because what do tech tubers do? They take the hardware, they plug it in, and they press the benchmark button. They don't actually do any due diligence in terms of that's what they do. So all these manufacturers are trying to one-up each other that way, right? The actual problem, here's the crazy thing. This kind of goes back. Remember how we were talking earlier in the stream about incompetence? Dude, I will sell a bundle that's pre-lapped, pre-delidded, with liquid metal, and they still fuck up their AIO install. They still fuck it up. So You know what? I would say, okay, let me redo this. 33% Intel's fault, 33% motherboard, and 33% user error. I would literally put that in there. Now, except for the 4900 KS, there, no, like, well, this is 100% Intel's fault. They should have never fucking released that thing. You can't use it. Even if you go back to my AIO review video, that shit was deleted, lapped, and liquid metalled, and a contact frame, and none of those AIOs could cool that thing out of the box. It was impossible. So this is the only one where it's 100% Intel's fault. But barring this though, 13900K to 14900K, 33% everybody, right? Because most people don't know what the fuck they're doing on a PC, and that's just the way it is, right? Because most users don't know how to diagnose their own PC. They don't know how to look at voltages. They don't know how to look at temperatures. They don't know how to stress test. They don't even know if their AIO is installed properly. That's most users, right? So, now what's actually happening here with the boot. This goes into how to fix it, right? What is actually happening with the boost algorithms is the Intel CPU will detect a thread that's very light load, and it'll do this with the voltage and the frequency, right? Then it'll downclock, it'll upclock, downclock. It's doing this. Now, every time the CPU is requesting this much voltage and clock speed, the motherboard has to deal with that shit, right? So the VRMs are like right behind it, like this. And sometimes the VRM can't keep up, depending on your motherboard binning and all that shit too, right? Sometimes the VRM just can't fucking keep up, and you might get a whoop. Oopsie. Now you got like a 1.6 volt transient going into your CPU. Crash and blue screen, right? Because that one core heated up way too much. Now, how do you fix that? You just make it so the cores don't go up and down. You just lock the core frequency. You just remove the sine wave, right? It's common sense, right? Again, we've had this fix in our Discord for the last 6 months. It's not a non-issue. So here's how you fix it. And I'm going to show you quickly. Just lock the cores to whatever your CPU all core is already at. What do I mean by that? It's a super simple fix, guys. So I think a 13900K all core is 5.5 gigahertz. Somebody correct me in chat if I'm off on this. 13900KS is 5.6 gigahertz, and then a 14900K is 5.7. Oh, and then if you have a 14900KS, you just lock it at 5.7 anyway. Just because you ain't doing shit with that one. Just do 5.7 with that one anyway. And then what do I mean by locking all cores? It's exactly what it sounds like. You go into your motherboard BIOS. In MSI, it's called fixed. In Asus, it's called sync all cores. In Gigabyte, I think you just punch it in and it'll overwrite any boosting algorithms anyway. Or it might be also called enhanced multi-core enhancement. I can't remember. It's been a while since I've used Gigabyte. But so right now I'm using a 14900KS in this system. So we're going to go into the BIOS and I'm going to do 5.7, okay? Performance core ratio. You don't have to worry about the E-cores. The E-cores don't do that dumb shit. Performance core ratio. Sync all cores right here. And then we have I have a tech cooler. Don't worry about the 52. But for anyone watching this, you just type in off that chart before. If you have a 13900K, you go 55. Save exit. Problem fixed. If you have a 13900KS, you go 5.6. Save exit. Problem solved. and a 14900K 5.7. Problem solved. Save exit, right? It's literally like that. Again, if this is affecting you, you need to be in the Discord, because we any issues that come up, we discuss it and we have a fix for it like a year in advance before everybody else does. And the only reason I'm making this video now is because I had so many comments in my last video asking me to address it. And I'm like, I thought I already did like 20 times, in which now I'm addressing it again publicly for YouTube. Here we go. Problem solved. As for the blame game, we don't do that on my channel. Golden rule number 1 or whatever the hell it was, always take care of yourself. So if you're having crashing issues, you need to diagnose it and fix it yourself, because blaming other people doesn't actually help you. We're here to play games, not whine on the internet. And that's pretty much it.